tragedy in Taradale.
And this could happen to anyone.
A toddler killed in a collision. Plus, a citywide spike in break-ins.
It's a multitude of issues that draw youth to crime.
17 people charged. And closing shop.
That was devastating because we had 3 days of lost revenue.
The retailer who says a city construction project made it impossible to run a business.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news. With Tara Nelson. Reporting tonight, Ian White.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. It's deja vu for residents in the north end of Calgary, 1 year to the day after a massive hailstorm swept through the city. This was in Evanston shortly before 5 p.m. as a storm cell rolled through. It comes 1 year after the August 5th storm in 2024 that caused billions of dollars in damage. And Gina joins us now with a look at the weather. Unfortunately, this is something the people in that part of Calgary have seen a number of times before.
Yes, and when it comes to tonight, there could be another round of this wet weather that could bring the possibility of some hail as well. We're sitting at 22 degrees right now, so it rallied a little bit after that first system moved through and dropped us down to 21 degrees. Here's your radar satellite, so you can see that one cell, a lot of lightning associated with it, skirting right across the north part of Calgary at around that 5 o'clock hour. But now we're paying attention to what's happening at around Canmore here. More rain that could be in Calgary's, heading Calgary's way as we get throughout the next couple of hours here. So we'll monitor that in real time. But when we look at our day planner, next 24 hours here, see that thunderstorm risk start to ease up as we get into the overnight hours. Nice sunny start to Wednesday here, and then another chance, a lower chance for some thunderstorm risk tomorrow, Ian.
Thanks, Gina. The family of a 1-year-old girl is reeling tonight after she was struck by a pickup truck and killed in a northeast Calgary alley. It happened Monday evening in the community of Taradale, just steps from her backyard. Mark Villani has more on the fatal incident and reaction from community members.
Police tape lines the alleyway, and investigators attempt to uncover how a tragedy like this could have happened.
There was a toddler playing in the back alley, and single vehicle struck the child.
That child was Anna Hot Gill. She was chasing after a toy when she was struck and killed by the driver of a white pickup truck making a right turn into a blind corner. Just 1 month shy of her second birthday, loved ones described her as a pretty, talkative, and curious little girl who always enjoyed playing with others. Her family declined to appear on camera, but community members are shocked, some calling this a dangerous intersection that was an accident just waiting to happen.
If you're driving and you're on a speed, for sure, there could be an emergency, somebody just coming from a corner. Our thought and prayer is with them.
Well, just never thought it'd really happen. Like, it's usually just peaceful around here, and now someone's dead. I'm just taking it in.
Others with a close connection to the family are lost in their emotions.
This is really devastating for us, and because I have a little one too, and the girl you are talking about, she used to play with my daughter every evening.
Ramandeep Jasin lives directly across the alleyway. He says drivers need to be more aware of their surroundings, especially in residential areas like this.
It's disaster.
So far, no charges have been laid as police continue to investigate. Alcohol and drugs are not considered factors, and it's unknown if speed was an issue. But traffic officers say this is a good reminder for all drivers to pay more attention.
So it's a bit of a loose term, but the posted limit for back lanes is 15 kilometres an hour. And I think what we have to understand is that what wasn't there yesterday could well be there today.
A split second in a northeast alleyway, leaving a family broken and a community grieving. Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
And anyone with information related to the incident is asked to contact Calgary Police or Crime Stoppers. Just west of Edmonton, a 9-year-old girl died after being hit by a truck. RCMP say the collision happened just before 9 this morning in Spruce Grove. Officers believe the girl was sitting on a skateboard that was rolling off a driveway when she was hit. She was taken to hospital with critical injuries, where she later died. A man in his 40s died in a motorcycle crash on Stony Trail yesterday afternoon. It happened under the Crowchild Trail overpass, where crews are working to repave the road. Police say it appears the man lost control while changing lanes and was thrown from his motorbike. He died at the scene. And 2 people were hurt when a taxi crashed overnight on Parkdale Boulevard. A cab collided with a signal pole on the median. The intersection was closed for a couple of hours while police investigated. Friends of Carter Spivak Villeneuve's family have started a GoFundMe campaign to help with expenses after he was found dead in Abbeydale early Friday morning. Police say the 16-year-old's death is a homicide. Investigators say around 1:20 a.m. Friday, they were called to Abergale Drive for reports of a person in medical distress. When officers arrived, they found Carter dead. Today, flowers are at the site placed by mourners. Police are asking residents to check their property for anything suspicious and to share any dash cam or security footage with police. Calgary police have laid charges against 17 people, including 9 minors, in a sweeping investigation into nighttime break-and-enters across the city. Tyson Fedor is live in Evanston, one of the communities that has been targeted. And Tyson, this was an extensive investigation.
Well, Ian, police began receiving reports of these break-ins as early as August of last year, but many of them took place in May and June of this year, and that's when police set up a task force to help catch those responsible. Now, 100 charges have been laid against 17 people, more than half of those under the age of 18. Some of the charges including theft, robbery, drug possession, resisting arrest, dangerous operation of motor vehicles, along with assaulting a peace officer and failing to comply. Search warrants were executed at 3 homes in the city's southeast. That led to these arrests. It is believed that those charged are all known to one another and targeted communities across the city, including here in Evanston and Citadel. Investigators plan to engage with the youths that were charged in this investigation through the Serious Habitual Offender Program, which can monitor up to 80 offenders at any time. Despite these charges, police do say that youth crime is actually trending downward.
If there's youth that are charged, so for first-time, second-time offenses, and that are kind of lower on our severity index, we can look to divert those to through partnership with the Calgary Youth Justice Society, where we look to provide programming to support the youth to address kind of the behaviors and why we got here.
Now, police are still needing the public's help in this investigation. If you do know of any instance of where these break-ins actually took place and have any information, you can report to police. You are asked to call them, or you can submit tips anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Ian?
Tyson, thanks very much. A Calgary teenager has been arrested for drug trafficking. In May, police say a man pointed a gun at someone while filling up with gas at an Esso station on 68th Street Northeast. Police say they were already investigating the suspect for trafficking and for violating court-ordered release conditions. In June, police in Saskatoon say they saw the same teen dealing drugs and arrested him. They seized cocaine, cash, and cell phones. 18-year-old Adut Agor faces charges including assault with a weapon. 1 year after a hailstorm caused billions of dollars of damage to Calgary homes and vehicles, insurance companies are calling for governments to make changes to promote hail resiliency. The storm on August 5th of last year cost $3.25 billion in insured damage, the second costliest natural disaster in Canadian history. On top of that, the Insurance Bureau of Canada estimates last month's hailstorm that rolled through the city could cost more than $30 million. The Bureau says these events are showing a troubling pattern that requires action through public policy. They're calling for the city to restore the Resilient Roofing Rebate Program to encourage hail-resistant retrofits and to mandate hail-resistant roofing in new construction in high-risk areas. We're also getting a look at renovations to the Calgary Airport's Terminal B after it sustained heavy damage from that hailstorm last year. Concourse B was shut down due to the damage. Since the hailstorm, crews have spent the past year replacing the roof and removing original building materials. Concourse B is nearly 50 years old and was originally built for both domestic and international flights, but has been solely for domestic flights since 2016. So the airport says while they're fixing the terminal, they're making some major renovations and converting it to a solely domestic terminal. It's been a long and painful stretch of road work for businesses in Marda Loop. Now, one of them has closed its doors for good, and the owner says it's completely due to construction limiting her customers' access. Kevin Green reports.
The sign on the door says it all. Doodle Dogs in Marda Loop is closed, and the owner says it's because of the construction that's been happening for the last 15 months outside her door.
The difficulty is that clients don't know when they can access us. So they might come here one day and they have parking, but then they might come back the next week and they don't.
Megan Huchkowski says at one point her customers were actually told they couldn't go into the store.
A couple weeks ago, we had someone who was on site flagging people away from our entrance, citing that they did not have access to our store. And that was devastating because we had 3 days of lost revenue.
Doodle Dog's neighbor feels the same way. Skintelligence European Boutique has been here nearly 2 decades, but the owner says she's had enough.
Well, it's not really running a business now. It's just waiting for clients to come, and they cannot come because it's construction everywhere.
Yeah, it's been tough. There's no denying it.
The head of the Marda Loop Business Improvement Area agrees it's been hard.
The thing that will help most, that will move the needle most, is an end to the work and getting people coming back down here to visit these businesses.
That should come soon. Marda Loop businesses have endured almost 2 years of road closures, sidewalk upgrades, and underground utility work. The city says it's almost done.
Our completion date, our construction completion date is October 31st. So the month of October, we're going to be doing deficiency walks and final touch-ups, but we should be substantially complete for all those areas there.
But it's done too late for Huchkowski, who says she can't ride out another 3 months of losses.
And for 15 months, we tried to do something good and we tried to have a beautiful store. And at this point, it's kind of like it feels better to close because at least the decision was ours.
And Kevin joins us from outside Doodle Dogs on 34th Avenue. And Kevin, the city says all of this work will finally be done by Halloween.
Yeah, in fact, they say the majority of it will be done by the end of August, beginning of September. And through September, there'll be overnight road repaving and resurfacing in this area to smooth out all the bumps that have been left behind from all the roads they've dug up here. And then through October, they'll be doing walkthroughs to make those final improvements and make sure everything's up to snuff. But businesses in this area are worried that that's not the end of it, because aside from the city construction being finished, they're concerned that other construction, private construction for apartment buildings, residences, and some big commercial projects that are due to happen in this area will continue tearing up the streets here for months, maybe even years to come. Ian?
Thanks, Kevin.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
The Canada Strong Pass, allowing free entry into national parks, is creating some challenges for people working there. Over the long weekend, Waterton National Park had to divert traffic away, while Banff's mayor says the volume of vehicles is not sustainable. Tyler Barrow has more.
Two things not hard to find in Banff in the summer: stunning peaks, swarms of people. Irina Kachun and Ior Mazurek recently moved to Toronto from Ukraine. They're taking advantage of the Canada Strong Pass that provides free access into national parks.
It's very cool that Parks Pass is free, so we decided to use it.
These two Calgarians are also partly here because of the free entry.
It's not much of a trek to come all the way out, and then now that you don't have to pay for it.
The pass was an election pitch by Prime Minister Mark Carney. It was a strategy to unite Canadians by encouraging domestic travel. The pass came into effect June 20th, and in Banff, it hasn't been seamless. Year to date, the town's traffic volume is up 6%. Recently, it recorded its second busiest day ever.
cannot handle that volume of vehicles into the long term. So we need to continue to work with our provincial and federal partners to look at mass transit.
The town also points to Calgary and area's booming population, strong U.S. dollar, and the sentiment of Canadians wanting to vacation at home for the increase in traffic volume. Residents share the mayor's concern.
Getting out of town by car, like sometimes it's taken me like 20-30 minutes to get out of town.
It's too much. The reality, there's too much tourism that has to be monitored.
And over the long weekend, Waterton had to divert traffic away.
We want to be sure that we don't reach gridlock for safety reasons like in any other jurisdiction.
While parks try to handle the volume of vehicles, businesses are noticing the increase in volume.
The amount of local Canadian traffic has spiked very noticeably, especially day traffic.
The crowds will likely continue as the Canada Strong Pass will be good until September 2nd, the Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend. Tyler Barrows, CTV News, Banff.
And Parks Canada says 4.2 million people visited Banff National Park in 2024, a slight decrease from 2023. Crews are working to move the famous Banff Town sign to its new spot. A groundbreaking ceremony was held today at the historic train station where the sign will be moved. It's being moved about 600 meters from Mount Norquay Road. It was so popular with people stopping to take photos, it caused traffic backups and safety concerns. The cost to move it is $1.2 million. It's being covered by the owners of the Mount Norquay Ski Resort. The sign will be moved in October. Softwood lumber has been a trade irritant between Canada and the U.S. for decades. Next, Mark Carney announces help for the lumber industry amid the ongoing spat between the two countries. And some positive news as more lives are saved in Alberta thanks to organ donations. Also, if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. Canada and the U.S. remain at odds over trade. And with that in mind, Ottawa announced new measures today to help Canada's softwood lumber industry. Rachel Aiello reports.
Unveiling new measures to snap the Canadian softwood sector's U.S. market dependence. Today, Prime Minister Mark Carney promised new loan guarantees and grants to help keep lumber companies afloat, accelerate product development, diversify markets, and fund retraining efforts.
We cannot count or fully rely on what has been our most valued trading relationship for our prosperity.
The move comes after the U.S. raised duties last month, prompting calls to make resolving the dispute a priority in the broader trade talks. Talks that Carney said today are continuing, despite U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff escalation last week.
I haven't spoken to the president in recent days. We'll speak when it makes sense.
Mark Carney has to deliver.
While polls show Canadians appear willing to give Carney more time, pressure is increasing as they watch Trump make deals with other countries.
Canadians are increasingly worried about Trump and the state of the trade negotiations. Concern on that front has been increasing over the last number of weeks.
Today, as both countries work towards a new North American trade pact, two of Carney's top ministers are in Mexico, talking to officials about how they secured a 90-day pause on higher tariffs.
Perhaps we can also learn something from their approach. They took a much more measured and perhaps low-key approach, and it seemed to work for them.
All of this coming the same day that new federal data shows Canada's merchandise trade deficit has widened to the second highest on record since April's historic dip. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Canvassers are going door to door collecting signatures on a petition looking to make sure Alberta stays in Canada.
You know, Albertans are proud Canadians. Albertans consider themselves Canadians first, and for a variety of reasons.
The group, known as Forever Canadian, gathered in Edmonton this weekend to start collecting signatures. The petition calls for a referendum on the question, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? The province's chief electoral officer issued the petition last week. The group must now collect nearly 294,000 signatures by the end of October before it can be filed with Elections Alberta.
This is CTV News, Calgary.
Gina, we saw some active weather in at least one part of the city only a couple of hours ago. Is there a chance of more later on tonight?
I think so, and I'll show you why in just a minute. But I will say a severe thunderstorm watch has been lifted for Calgary, but I just don't want you to take that as an indication that we're done with the active weather tonight. We are partly cloudy right now in the city. We're sitting at 22 degrees. Managed to get to a high of 23 earlier this afternoon. Sitting at 25 in Lethbridge right now, 26 over in Medicine Hat. In the central part of the province, pretty similar, 26 in the capital, 23 in Coronation, and a little cooler in Banff right now at 15. And that is an area that's dealing with some wet weather currently. But like I mentioned, no more severe thunderstorm watches or warnings in effect for Calgary and the surrounding area. But our radar satellite shows there's still a lot happening along the mountains there that is approaching towards Calgary. And I put this high pressure symbol in place. This was from a little earlier today that we had this surface high over the Rockies. And what we know with high pressure at the surface is those winds are seeking out where the low pressure is. And that is all the way over in Saskatchewan here, where a massive low pressure system brought a bunch of rain and thunderstorms throughout the Regina area this afternoon. But you can see its influence. It's just pulling all these storm pulses over towards it from way over here in Alberta. This is what we're seeing right now on our radar satellite. A lot happening around Banff, Canmore there, and starting to get more convection, more intense embedded thunderstorm cells within that massive precipitation. Now, here's the difference that you're going to see between radar satellite and our weather model. As I transition here, our model is already assuming that the rain is in Calgary. It's not quite there yet, so a little premature in that forecast, but I do support what it's suggesting is going to happen. More rain coming in and those embedded thunderstorm cells impacting that north quadrant, the northwest and the northeast a little later this evening. But rather than 7:30, it might be more of an 8:30, 9 o'clock event. As we get into Wednesday morning, we should get some clearing overnight. That'll start us off with some sunshine for Wednesday there. But then more clouds move in the afternoon. We could see another chance of some thunderstorms later during the supper hour. But our next big weather maker is going to come late Thursday, and it's from the States there. All that rain will start to track up into southern Alberta as we get late into Thursday and then into Friday morning. So it's a couple more days of this instability that we have to contend with. Before you see, I kind of blocked it there for you. Saturday and Sunday, that's more like it. That's more like that August weather that we know and enjoy. So we have the clouds moving in tomorrow, that minor thunderstorm risk in the afternoon. Nice high of 25, down to 20 on Thursday there. An increased thunderstorm risk once again Thursday evening. That'll turn more into rain as we get into Friday. And your 5-day forecast is brought to you by Action Furnace.
Thanks, Gina. Alberta Health Services says our province's organ and tissue donation program reported a record number of donors last year. In 2024, there were a total of 317 deceased organ and/or tissue donors. That led to 423 organs transplanted, saving hundreds of lives. This is the third straight year that donation rates have increased. AHS says one organ donor can save up to 8 lives, and a tissue donor can dramatically improve or sometimes save up to 75 lives. In Alberta, more than 500 people are waiting for life-saving transplants. The youngest victim was 19, the oldest 77. 2 years after 5 people were killed when a submersible imploded, the report blames those who ran the company and the culture that surrounded them. Also, a popular spot in the Rocky Mountains still off limits after a mudslide. Highway 40 is still closed in the south part of Kananaskis country after a mudslide over the long weekend. The washout happened Saturday afternoon between the Mount Lipset Day-Use area and Mist Creek Day-Use area. Officials say debris, including rocks and trees, was up to 2 meters high and covered 60 meters of the highway.
It kind of dawned upon me how severe that was, because especially considering that was only about a few hundred meters to the trailhead or where even the cars were parked, and the the bridge was all intact and the river was flowing all fine when we went up. But now the whole bridge was taken down. There was a huge pile of mud, debris, soil. There were plants, big trees that had kind of taken the bridge out.
Crews arrived on Saturday night to begin clearing the debris field, and the work continued today. A report into the tragedy involving the Titan submersible has found it could have been prevented and people's lives could have been saved. All 5 people on board were killed on the vessel's trip in 2023 to the site of the Titanic. And as John Venevalley Rao tells us, the investigation could have led to criminal charges.
What happened to the Titan submersible and the loss of everyone on board, including a teenager, was examined extensively by the U.S. Coast Guard. And with the release of a more than 300-page report, an investigative board finding what many have long believed, that this marine casualty and the loss of 5 lives was preventable.
I'm mad because it happened, and I'm sad that all these people lost their lives. And that's why, to me, it should have never happened. It shouldn't have been allowed to happen.
The report placing blame on OceanGate, the American company behind the experimental sub, run by CEO Stockton Rush, who perished in the implosion. It cites inadequate design, certification, maintenance, and inspection processes for the Titan, adding there was a toxic workplace culture. Some who expressed safety concerns were fired or threatened with dismissal.
To start operations, was there pressure?
Oh, 100%.
The report finding the submersible was used despite several prior incidents involving its carbon fiber hull, adding OceanGate was able to operate Titan completely outside the established deep-sea protocols. The Titan had been on a dive off Newfoundland carrying passengers who paid up to $250,000 to see the wreck of the Titanic when the submersible imploded.
The good news is they would have been killed instantly, so they wouldn't have suffered, but they shouldn't have been killed in the first place. This was preventable.
In a statement, OceanGate, which is no longer operating, said, "We again offer our deepest condolences to the families of those who died and to all those impacted by the tragedy." The report also notes if CEO Stockton Rush had survived, criminal charges against him would have been considered. John Venevalley Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
It's one of Disney's biggest franchises, and it's here in Calgary for a couple of weeks. Still to come, we go backstage at The Lion King to take a closer look at the puppets in the Broadway show. The Lion King continues for a couple more weeks at the Jubilee, and we went behind the scenes as they continue their run of the classic tale. The musical features 230 puppets, and that requires a lot of maintenance. Behind the stage, a team is tasked with making sure they're ready for the show, whether it's getting a backup puppet ready or grabbing some zip ties or duct tape for quick repairs. Many of the puppets only cover the actors' faces, which allows for a unique connection.
It allows you into the story without taking away some of the actors' main attributes. So we don't hire puppeteers, we don't dress them in mascot costumes. We give them puppets, but they're also humans at the same time. So it really gives the actor the ability to play off of that duality.
The Lion King continues nightly at the Jubilee until August 17th. Artists are rolling into Calgary over the next few days to leave their impressions on the city. An urban art conference kicking off this year's rendition of the Beltline Urban Murals Project, or BUMP Festival. Over the next 3 weeks, artists from Toronto, Newfoundland, and as far away as Morocco will join local artists in transforming urban spaces with new murals. BUMP has commissioned over 400 public artworks since 2017.
Everything we do is a conversation we're having with the public, sometimes through art, sometimes through a conference, sometimes through music. So our base is, really, it's Calgarians. It's like, what does it feel like to live in your city? Let's activate your city. Let's think about your city.
The festival also includes a graffiti jam and a block party. You can find more details and a map at yycbump.ca. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we saw the fallout from a couple who really didn't want to be seen together at a Coldplay concert. You may remember that. Well, here's a celebrity couple more than happy to be on the kiss cam and more at a concert. That's Mila Kunis and Ashton Kutcher singing their hearts out this weekend at the Backstreet Boys show at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Michael McCabe posted the video on Instagram saying the couple stole the show. The video has nearly 400,000 likes on Instagram.
Well, that's playing it up for the camera, huh?
Yeah, I'd say so.
That's very sweet, actually. They're so into it, and nobody lost their job as a result of that.
Fair.
Well, she found her honey was the theme of a bachelorette party in Tennessee, and apparently a local bear was looking for some honey, too.
No! He's gonna eat the balloon. Not the LaCroix.
Guests at the party rushed inside to safely get some video of the bear crashing the bachelorette party. This was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. The bear seemed to be interested in the steaks sizzling on the barbecue, but stayed for the champagne chilling in an ice bucket.
We had some beers, you know.
Just hanging out, just having a good time, you know, wishing the ladies the best.
Exactly. Nice party favor, hey?
Yeah, absolutely. Barber shop on Long Island is going viral for its unique haircuts.
And in like 2 days, I got 2 million views. I was like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? A week later, 20 million views. And ever since then, it was just like people flocking in.
People are flocking into barber shops on Long Island to spin the wheel and get whatever haircut the wheel ends up on. And some of the cuts are pretty extreme. There is some incentive to do this aside from shocking their parents. The boys doing this have the chance to win a bike, and their hair, after all, will grow back in a few weeks.
Are we doing that?
I vote yes. I mean,
Really?
I think you guys should.
You do.
If you pay me enough, sure. Well, international health officials are keeping a close eye on Canada, just ahead under scrutiny because of soaring measles cases.
Welcome back. Nice sunny shot here through our Skywatch weather camera, but there is a storm brewing right now on the Trans-Canada west of Calgary that I'll show you in just a moment. That could be making its way to the city in an hour or so from now. But when we look at our conditions currently, again, this shot suggests nothing but blue sky and sunshine. We're sitting at 22 degrees. We made a high of 23 today, so nice and normal out there. A really nice day, actually, for the most part, with the exception of the northwest there that got grazed by a thunderstorm cell a little earlier this evening. And again, we could see another storm work its way into Calgary a little later this evening as well. So moderate risk for our storm outlook today, where we could see localized rainfall amounts of up to 50 millimeters and also hail up to 3 centimeters in diameter. So Calgary in that zone, Lethbridge, and parts of the QE2 up to Red Deer in that moderate risk category. So let's see where we're at right now. This is our radar satellite currently. You'll notice no watches or warnings in effect for Calgary or the surrounding area. But when we zoom in to what's happening on the Trans-Canada here, this is becoming quite an organized storm cell, quite big, I will say, and it's coming right towards Calgary here. Might take a bit of a northeast trajectory, which would, again, maybe be a situation where it just grazes us, but that's what I'm keeping my eye on for the next little while here. After today, we do have this trough that's moving in that's going to bring more instability by the time we get into Thursday there. A lot of wet weather possible as we make it to Thursday evening and Friday afternoon there, where you see temperatures drop down quite rapidly. When we look at your 24-hour forecast, brought to you by Action Furnace, fixed right or it's free, cooling down to 14 tonight, and then up to 23 tomorrow, Ian.
Thank you, Gina. The family of a 1-year-old girl is grieving tonight after she was struck and killed by a vehicle. Ann Hat Gill was just 1 month away from her 2nd birthday. Her family says she was chasing after a toy in the back alley of her home in Taradale yesterday. She was hit by the driver of a pickup truck that was making a right turn into a blind corner. Calgary police have charged 17 people, including 9 under 18, in a sweeping investigation into break-and-enters in homes and businesses. They date back to last summer, but the most recent were this June. And the owner of a popular pet store in Marda Loop says she's being forced to shut the doors. She says ongoing construction is to blame. Alberta recorded 35 new measles cases over the long weekend. Also today, Alberta health officials have expanded the times that an individual sick with measles possibly encountered the public at the Banff Gondola. AHS first announced the possibility of exposure last month, saying visitors and staff may have been exposed on July 9th. Now, AHS determined the individual may have exposed the public to measles on 4 other days from July 27th to July 30th. It says that anyone who visited on those dates should self-monitor for symptoms of measles. Canadian medical experts say measles transmission in our country continues to soar. As Pauline Chan tells us, it may soon mean Canada could lose its status as a country in which measles have been eliminated.
Canada was declared to have eliminated measles in 1998.
So measles elimination is defined by the World Health Organization, and it means that within a certain geographical area, in this case Canada, that there is no sustained transmission of measles over a 12-month period.
Jana Shapiro from the University of Toronto says it doesn't mean there were 0 cases, just no sustained transmission.
And now that we've seen a resurgence in the past year or so in Canada, we are at risk of losing that elimination status in 2025.
10 of our 13 provinces and territories have seen cases. Alberta has over 1,600 cases of measles, and Ontario has seen more than 2,300.
We really had our bulk of our cases in kind of March, April, but that's not yet the case in Alberta. I think there's still quite a few new cases being reported on a weekly basis.
Many of the cases sprang from a single event in New Brunswick last October, which led to transmission in other provinces.
I have a lot of concerns. Very deep concerns professionally, foremost, and also personally. Professionally, because measles is truly the most contagious virus that you can come in contact with.
Michelle Canor was diagnosed with measles in May and was hospitalized for several days despite getting a vaccination decades ago. And as a teacher, she worries about measles spread.
Average 32 kids in a classroom in city schools. It would be a really dangerous thing to have classrooms of children taken out by the measles. And most will manage it. Most will be able to be resilient and overcome it, but some may not.
Shapiro says Canada could lose its measles eliminated status as early as October and says public health vaccination efforts must continue. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Canada's Privacy Commissioner has begun an investigation into a cybersecurity breach at WestJet. Philippe Dufresne says the incident involved a malicious actor who gained access to the airline systems. The investigation will examine the security safeguards WestJet had in place at the time and the adequacy of its notifications to affected individuals. The airline first issued a public advisory about the incident on June 13th. Why are so many British Columbians moving here to Alberta? That's what the Business Council of BC is trying to determine as it counters Alberta's push to attract skilled workers from other provinces. In 2022, our provincial government launched the Alberta is Calling campaign, hoping to lure Canadians with promises of a strong job market and cheaper housing. In December, the Business Council countered with its own campaign, Stay with BC, and has been speaking to thousands of people in BC to learn why so many are packing up and heading here.
The first one's obviously not that shocking. It was housing affordability, or just then generally affordability, because obviously if you're being pressed for other things like food costs and other things, housing becomes even harder to pay for. But number 2 was taxes and regulation, and 3 was jobs and wages, and number 4 was public services, or the lack thereof of accessing public services.
And BC loses more people to Alberta than any other province. In the first quarter of this year, just over 1,800 more people moved from BC to Alberta than Alberta to BC. The Stampeders starting quarterback is returning from injury just in time. Coming up, Vernon Adams Jr. takes the field with hopes of reversing the losing trend. You could be walking past fossils every day and not even know it. Over the long weekend, the Alberta Wilderness Association hosted a fossil tour to show you what you might be missing.
It's incredible. I can't believe that it's just used on just regular architecture.
You can find several fossils in the limestone blocks placed outside the Kensington Safeway store. This limestone comes from the town of Tyndall, about 30 kilometers northeast of Winnipeg, and is used as an ornamental building stone throughout Canada. There are more stones in the Senator Patrick Burns building at SAIT. The limestone blocks are about 450 million years old.
They're going to learn about a kind of ancient environment, you know, from what happened 450 million years ago. It was marine. It was tropical, warm marine. So you're going to see, they're going to be seeing here things like seashells, algae, nautiloids, trilobites, all sorts of stuff.
You can also find Tyndall limestone at the Rimrock Hotel in Banff and at the Chateau Lake Louise. The Calgary Stampeders take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the third time this season on Saturday night at McMahon Stadium. Glenn is back with us. And Glenn, that's a lot of games against the Bombers in a short time span.
Ian, it really is. The Stamps played the Bombers in Week 5 and then again in Week 7. The Stamps won both those games, and it looks like they'll get a big part of their offense back for Saturday's game.
He's in trouble, escapes on the run to his left. Now he's going to try to do it himself. Look out.
The Calgary Stampeders just haven't been the same since Vernon Adams got injured on this play against the Montreal Alouettes a couple of weeks ago. Adams sat on the sidelines for the rest of the game and then missed last week's game in Ottawa. Both were losses for the Stampeders, but it looks like he'll be back against the Bombers.
Yeah, I feel great. I feel good to be back out there with the guys. It was some great energy today, great weather, great day of practice. So we're excited for the opportunity this week to get on, take on Blue Bombers.
The Stamps have lost 2 in a row and want to put an end to that losing streak. Head coach Dave Dickinson says Adams will make a difference.
Well, I mean, he's been our leader. He is a playmaker. I feel like any game he's out there and you can win that game. I've always felt like when he's going, he's as good as anybody.
Adams says it's never easy to not be on the field to help your teammates.
Yeah, it's very tough, you know what I'm saying? Like for anybody else, you know what I'm saying? You're a competitor, you want to be out there helping out the team and doing what you can do, so just have to help on the sidelines, but thought we played well, we didn't make enough plays, so we got to get back on track this week, hopefully.
Adams flew to Ottawa with the team and had a front row seat with what went right and what went wrong.
And the Red Blacks go up by 13.
And perhaps prepare him for his next job.
I'm just helping with relaying the call, personnel, things like that. I want to be a coach one day when I'm done. So, to sit back and kind of experience the sideline and hear the coaches talk on the mic and things like that and see how they run things was it's pretty cool. Not that I want to do that every week or anything, but it was cool to experience.
And more good news for the Stamps. Clark Barnes was back at practice taking first-team reps. Stamps and Bombers kick off for that game 5 o'clock Saturday at McMahon.
Thank you, Glenn. And Gina Vernon Adams Jr. of the Stampeders was just talking there about how wonderful the weather was today for practice.
I got you, Vern. No, yeah, it was nice today, but obviously that active weather really started to pick up throughout the late afternoon and into the evening. Our weather window shot here taken by Susie out at Panorama Hills, showing a little bit of that hail, but a nice rainbow in the background as well. And your weather window is brought to you by Lux Windows and Doors, crafting quality windows and doors for your style, budget, and Alberta's climate. Yeah, everything up till about Saturday is looking a little iffy out there, especially on Friday when we're expecting more of that sustained rain, 5 to 10 millimeters possible, but nice sunshine returning back on Saturday for that football game. Comfortable high of 23 degrees, 10-day trend showing. We get a nice little warm up by the weekend there, and then it all starts to taper off again as we get into midweek next week with highs just in the teens.
Certainly a very nice weekend ahead. Thanks very much. Thank you for joining us and have a great night.